Hey, you got a little glimpse of us before the intro thing came on. Sorry about that. We still haven't figured out how to do that right.
We're still, even after a year and a half, trying to get this
See,
going.
I was going to kill our video feed so you wouldn't see us, but when I killed the video feed, Melody couldn't make us go live because they've got it's blacked out. If you're not on screen, you can't go live. So she had to stay on there. So anyway, sorry
It's
about
their
that.
fault. You know the crazy
Yes.
woman you see on YouTube commercials? Go talk to her.
Yep.
Okay.
So
Anyway,
we're
welcome
here,
to Fan Flak. We're here. It's
and
good to be
one
after
of the
you.
things we're going to discuss today is Star Trek, as you can see behind me on my backdrop. Um, that's a fan art from the motion picture. They did a real nice job, so I borrowed that, and it'll be behind me. But first, Melody and I are going to discuss something that'll make a lot of people sad, and that's all the cancellations this year,
The
which was
cancel.
a very large number, especially HBO and Netflix. HBO and Netflix made up half of the cancellations. So just to go into telling you what was canceled, ABC canceled one, and that was a show called Avalon. Now, I may not know much about these shows. I haven't watched very many of them, but I do know the name of the show. Fox canceled two shows, Monarch and Duncanville. Amazon Prime canceled one of Melody's favorite shows. They canceled As We See It, Paper Girls, The Wilds, and Night
Dark
Sky.
sky. Night sky. Pardon me.
Now, I thought Night Sky was a good show. I
Night
watched
sky
a
was
few
a
of them.
brilliant show.
It was interesting. It wasn't just a rehash of yesterday's leftover meatloaf. It was something different, and I like that.
Yeah.
AMC canceled 61st Street. A lot of people were upset about that because it was a black drama, and with almost all the characters, especially all the main characters, were black people. And I mean, there's not enough shows like that. But I don't really know how good the show was. I like sci-fi, and that's pretty much all I watch. Uh, and let's see, Apple TV only canceled one show. It was something called Shantaram, which I have no idea what it is. CBS canceled something called Beyond the Edge. Uh, and Magnum PI is leaving CBS, but it's moving over to NBC, who has committed to 2 years of it. So it'll be back on. CW canceled Tom Swift. Disney Plus canceled. This is the one that makes me mad. The Book of Boba Fett got canceled, and I don't know if you watched it, Melody, but it was
Yes.
outstanding.
Yeah.
It had special effects every bit as good as the movies in Star Wars movies. I mean, it was, and I love the character, love the actor.
Yeah.
And it's just really unfortunate that they are not continuing that show because I liked it much better than The Mandalorian. I would have preferred they cancel The Mandalorian and keep the Book of Boba Fett. But anyway, it's gone.
Yeah.
Another show I liked was on HBO. HBO canceled Gentleman Jack, Los Espookies, The Nevers, The Time Traveler's Wife, Westworld, and the one that I liked, which is Raised by Wolves, which was, I thought, a very unique science fiction show. Did you ever watch that?
No, I don't think so.
HBO Plus canceled Close Enough, F Boy Island, Gomorrah, Gordita Chronicles, Gossip Girl, Legendary, Love Life, Made for Love, and Pennyworth. Pennyworth was a show about Alfred, the
Oh
Batman's.
yeah. Oh, that
Who,
sucks.
huh?
That sucks.
Usually those kind of shows continue for a while,
Yeah.
but they didn't like this one apparently. Hulu canceled four. They canceled Kindred, Maggie, Reboot, and Woke. NBC canceled one, and it was called Keenan. Netflix Netflix canceled 11, including one my daughter was watching, which was 1899. They canceled that.
Oh.
The Bastard Son and the Devil Himself, Blockbuster, Fate, the Wink Saga, First Kill, which I thought was a unique show. I'll talk about that once I'm done with the list. The Imperfects, The Midnight Club, Partner Track, Resident Evil, which surprised me. It had a long run. Uncoupled, Warrior Nun. Paramount Plus canceled Why Women Kill. Peacock canceled Queer as Folk and Rutherford Falls. Showtime canceled American Gigolo, Desus and Mero, which was a talk show, Dexter New Blood, The First Lady, Flatbush Misdemeanors, and Let the Right One In. Stars canceled Becoming Elizabeth and Dangerous Liaisons. And TBS canceled Full Frontal with Samantha Bee and Rat in the Kitchen, which was a cooking show. Or that was a game show about cooking. But I don't know if I'd watch a cooking show called that.
Rat in the kitchen. It's almost as bad as Rachel Ray in the kitchen.
Now, the shows, let's see what I've got here. Of the 56 shows that were canceled, 14 of them were sci fi, 18 of them were dramas, six were reality/game shows, two were cartoons, 12 were comedies, and three had gay characters as the main characters. And going back to First Kill. Now, First Kill was, like I say, it wasn't yesterday's Meatloaf. It was a show about a vampire hunter who is a lesbian woman and the vampire who is a lesbian woman. And they
As
fell in
as
love.
opposed to a lesbian man.
Hey, nowadays,
I'm sorry.
I'm not gonna try to insult anybody here.
I got
you can be what you want to be. But anyway, I thought that was a unique show. It was an interesting premise, and it's too bad it didn't get a chance to run its course. But and also in this day of all of the networks claiming to be so liberal and woke, I might point out that half of the 56 shows that were canceled had minority lead characters.
Yeah.
So, okay, networks.
Yeah.
Remember that next time you start telling me how wonderful and woke the networks are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you want to talk anything about any of the shows that got canceled?
Well, just that Night Sky was such a beautiful show. It was conceptually broad and deep. It had wonderful actors in it, J.K. Simmons and Sissy Spacek, who of course are widely different in ages, but the makeup kind of equated them. And
Well, he's quite a bit younger than she is, I
yeah,
believe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And but he's so great. So is she. I mean, they're both just brilliant. And I kind of wanted to know why Sissy wasn't one of the ones in the 80 for Brady movie, since she's almost 80. Anyway, she probably turned it down because the script was bad or something. But I'm gonna miss that show, Night Sky, and
Well, let's hope the Sci-Fi Channel picks it up. Or
yeah, or maybe the way things are becoming. I know that Seth MacFarlane has said that if Orville was canceled, he was going to start doing it himself. So,
oh, he's got the money,
oh
you
yeah,
know.
yeah. So maybe that's what they'll do from now on, is just upload their own TV shows.
Well, look, M. Night Shyamalan, his last 3 or 4 movies were all funded out of his pocket,
Yeah, yeah.
and they
That's
all
how
made
he
a
got
pro-
the career.
and they all made a profit. So
Yeah,
hey, there you go.
why not? You know?
And they can do stuff. That let's see. Hey, let me pull something up here. I want to show. I'm not sure where I kept it. Here. Let me play a little clip. You talk about stuff that can be done on your own. Watch this. This was done by people, not a network.
Excelsior, this is the shuttlecraft Sturgeon requesting docking coordinates.
Acknowledged, Sturgeon. You are cleared for docking.
Don't look so worried.
Say that one more time, and I swear I'll bust you back to yoga. What's on today's schedule?
I cleared it. You'll have all the time in the world.
Docking is complete, Excelsior.
Copy that, Sturgeon. Welcome aboard.
All the time in the world.
Tracking hydrogen, anti-hydrogen reaction signatures, Captain. There's no doubt they're venting antimatter.
Maximum resolution. Range, Mr. Subaru.
29 million kilometers, Captain.
They've drifted well within the Romulan neutral zone.
Another distress signal, Captain. They say they're losing their support fast.
Mr. Subaru, plot an intercept course. I want us in and out before anybody's the wiser.
Ever taken the Kobayashi Maru test? Course plotted and laid in, Captain.
Full ahead.
Aye, sir.
Entering Romulan neutral zone. We are now in violation of treaty. Then let's not let any grass.
Captain, warp field signatures approaching. Dropping to sublight.
On screen.
Romulan birds of prey, Imperator class.
Okay. That is called Star Trek New Voyages. The gentleman playing Captain Kirk is Jim Cawley, and he is a video game entrepreneur and has done pretty well for himself. So he built all those sets and he funded the filming of that show. So you can see what an individual with a little money could do.
Yes, exactly. So that's what we need
that
to
shows, and you can see that Grace Lee Whitney and George Takei decided to do an episode of it. And that one, by the way, if you want to see more of it, you can get it on YouTube. That episode is called World Enough and Time, and it's excellent. The young lady that plays Sulu's daughter I don't know why she isn't more widely known. She does a great job on this. So have you ever seen any of the New Voyages episodes?
No,
No.
no.
And they also had Star Trek Continues, and that one has James Doohan playing James Doohan's son playing
Right.
Scotty.
Yeah, cool. Very nice. Yeah, it's I know that there has been an attempt, I'm trying to think of the company name, to do Dark Shadows on um, audio plays. I don't know what they would call that in terms of the the terms change every freaking year. Probably Audible something. And anyway, the um they've done quite a few of those, and so it doesn't surprise me at all that the Star Trek folk are doing them, and
Well,
they'll
there's
eventually, yeah.
there's dozens of people doing Star Trek stuff. I haven't seen them all. Uh, those two, Star Trek Continues and New Voyages, are the ones I've found to be the best quality. They're every bit network television quality shows. The
Yeah.
acting is good. I mean, there's some of the actors,
Well, that's the case with
improved a little
regular
bit.
TV too. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, that's
have you
true.
seen an episode of Glee lately?
I haven't I haven't seen Glee since it was the first when it first came out.
Well, it's been over for years. I mean, half the cast is dead,
No,
but
isn't that the one that the lady that was married to Norm Nixon on the Lakers that she was on?
yeah,
Okay.
so.
I remember they filmed an episode of it in the skating rink at in Downey.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Something was, well, the Carpenters came from Downey, so I guess
Yep.
they merit a mention.
Well, we were talking about that we were going to talk about the Trek movies. So I
Yeah.
guess since I showed that, we could segue
Into
the
the
Trek
Trek
movies.
I have to say that I actually have a friend who was in Star Trek the Motion Picture. I'd hoped to have a little clip of her from this for this, but alas, because of various weather situations, I wasn't able to get down to see her. We put it off till to her birthday, which is later this month. And
I watched it. I should have clipped that little part that she's in. So,
it's
oh
okay.
well.
It's blink and you miss it, But
If you're wondering what she's in, there's a scene at Starfleet Academy where Kirk is talking to the cadets, and she's in the audience there where he's speaking.
yes.
Now, whether she was actually there when Shatner was there, sometimes when they film the audience separately, and then they film the people talking. So
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
was not
sure.
there when they were.
Okay, yeah, that's what I figured. They usually play like an audio recording of what he said, so they can react to what he said. But
Right. Well, they sort of, it was they went through and did a competition for people who wanted to come on and be chosen as one of that group. And Joanne Christie, as she was named then, went with another friend of ours to audition or show up or whatever the term was. And she was not intending to try out. And she's a very shy lady. She's an artist, but she has a very pixie-ish look. So they walked up and pretty much, tabbed her. Yes, you will be Vulcan. And she kind of went, no. But she made it through. She did it. And you can see her in one of the Trekkies movies, and she's done bits with Bejo Trimble where they talk about the process. And her name now is Joanne Nolan, and she's known as the Nervous Vulcan because in order to just get through it, you could see her going like this. In the my theory is she was plotting a takeover. Anyway, but then of course, when you see the motion picture now, it is appallingly dated in many ways for something in the future.
Frequently, that scene that she is in is cut out of network viewings of the movie.
Yes, I know.
So now
That's
I watched it on stream on HBO. Now, for some reason, Paramount Plus does not have the original cast movies.
Yeah, I know. It's
Paramount Plus only has the J.J. Abrams movies. It does not have all of the. Let's see, we have 8, 9. They don't have the original cast or the Next Generation cast. Those all are on HBO.
Oh, well, there you go. That's how it goes.
Now, just to tell you how the first movie got made, Roddenberry had been prodding the studio for 10 years after the original series went off. They had the animated series. It was on for, I believe, 2 years. And then they were talking about bringing back a series and calling it Star Trek Phase 2. And some of the characters and plot of the pilot ended up in Star Trek The Motion Picture. And of course, Star Trek The Motion Picture ended up having a far bigger budget than the TV series would have had. And it came out in 1979. It had all of the regular cast, although Leonard Nimoy was pretty iffy until right at the last, and then he came on board. William Decker, I forget the actor that played Decker. I just saw that. I'll show you a trailer, and it tells the actor's name.
Stephen Collins.
Here, tell you what, let me play it right. Let me play the trailer for the original series.
Stephen Collins, I think.
That could very well be, and it tells his name. So here's the trailer.
The human adventure is just beginning. James T. Kirk. Len Nimoy is Mr. Spock. DeForest Kelley is Dr. Leonard Bones McCoy. James Doohan is Lieutenant Commander Montgomery Scott. George Takei is Lieutenant Commander Sulu. Majel Barrett is Dr. Christine Sheppel. Walter Koenig is Lieutenant Pavel Chekhov. Nichelle Nichols is Lieutenant Commander Uhura. Stephen Collins is Commander Willard Decker. Persis Kambata is Lieutenant Ilia. the motion picture. Gene Roddenberry's production, a Robert Wise film.
So, Stephen Collins. Close.
No, I said Stephen Collins.
Oh, I thought William.
No, Stephen Collins. He,
Okay. Barnabas's brother.
Yeah, no. Barnabas would have offed him in a second. I have to say that Stephen Collins was prosecuted and prosecuted and held guilty for some pretty nasty crimes. So
Really? Oh, I never heard of that.
Yep, 3 young girls.
Oh, gee. I hope
Yeah.
he's rotting in prison.
I hope so too, but knowing how that works in Hollywood, probably not. But anyway, and R.I.P. Princess Kambata, who died very young.
Way too young. She had she had a similar ailment to the one that killed the little girl from Poltergeist.
Yes, yeah.
It was some kind of an intestinal blockage.
Totally unknown because it can get by testing too easily. Well, at least back then it could. It doesn't now. Thank God.
If you have trouble going, go to the doctor.
Yes, definitely. I want to thank Jeannie for mentioning Stephen Collins. Jeannie is Pansy Collins, and she's a friend of mine. And I should also, at this point, before we get back to the Trek movies, say happy birthday to David Selby, who is amazingly young, 80-something or other. I won't say exactly what the year is, but...
And he was a werewolf, right?
Yeah, he was Quentin Collins.
A long time.
Yep. And he was Quentin
Maybe
Collins.
He really is a werewolf.
You never know. And let's see, we have another comment here. Okay.
82.
82, yes. 82 years old. And Jeannie's been in fandom almost as long as I have, so we know these people.
That was Pansy Collins.
Yes, Jeannie. Jeannie's her real name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And she's wise enough to not give her real name out on.
Exactly.
Unlike me.
And me. But it's the goose is out of the gander already, so why
goose
even
is out of the gander?
I don't know. Gander out of the goose. There we go.
Well, gander and a goose are the same thing.
Yes, I know.
But anyway, so that film got made. It was widely panned. The original film was pretty slow and badly lit. It came back as the director's cut. If you want to watch the movie, watch the director's cut. It's much better. Flows much better. It's really a pretty good movie for its age. And then next, 3 years later, came what is widely thought of as the best Star Trek movie. And that's Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan with Ricardo Montalban. And I consider it the best of the Star Trek films. Very well made. Some of the lines in it, I will chase you round perdition's flame. With my last breath, I spit at thee. It was really good.
And it's Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah, nothing like Ricardo Montalban saying those lines. So
yeah, exactly.
It's worth watching just to watch Khan's death. That's great. So, like I say, that is widely thought of as the best of the Star Trek movies. The next one, it wasn't bad was Search for Spock.
Yeah.
You see, in Wrath of Khan, they killed Spock.
Yeah.
But then the director said, what if we decide to bring him back? So they put another scene in the movie where Spock goes up to Bones, DeForest Kelley, and he says, remember. And that was all put in after the fact. They had filmed everything, and then they went back and they made that scene. So they'd have a way of bringing Spock back. And that's what they did in Search for Spock. And Search for Spock is where they replace Kirstie Alley with Robin Curtis as Lieutenant Saavik.
Because the director said he would never work with Kirstie Alley again.
Well, I don't know. If you listen to Kirstie Alley's side of the story, they offered her half of what she made in the first movie she was in, which was the Wrath of Khan. And for Search for Spock, they offered her half. And she said, I had done quite a bit of acting in the meantime, and I knew that they shouldn't be offering me half. So I refused to do it for that, and they replaced me. I know Robin Curtis, very nice lady. And she kind of says that they kind of screwed Kirstie Alley over. Even Robin Curtis said that.
Well, yeah, but why they did it is the issue.
Well, that I don't know. I'm just hearing on Center Seat. Have you seen Center Seat?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Documentary. There's a segment in there with Kirstie Alley where she talks about that. So that's all I know. I don't know Kirstie Alley. Okay, the next movie, which is probably my second favorite, which is The Voyage Home. That's the whale movie.
Yes, my favorite.
That's the whale movie. And it's good. It was 1986, was the whale movie. They've been getting on a 2-year, the Wrath of Khan was 82, Search for Spock was 84, Voyage Home was 86. So they were on a 2-year cycle of movies. And then they blew it here with The Final Frontier. The Final Frontier is widely panned and is the worst. It's not the worst movie of all time, but it's definitely the worst Star Trek movie.
Oh, yeah.
Sybok, at the time, the guy that did Sybok was doing like Alpha Beta commercials or for some grocery store. He was their spokesperson. And he was just not believable as Spock's brother.
No, that's very...
I can feel your pain. But anyway, that movie was pretty terrible.
I should mention he was born and raised in Greenwood, Arkansas. And
Lawrence Luckenbill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually married Lucille Ball's daughter, Lucy Arnaz.
Oh. Oh, that's right. I recall that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't want to go into a lot of detail about that movie. And the fact that it was directed by
William Shatner. Who else could make it that bad?
Bill. Okay, so
Bill's the shit.
Then after 2 more years, we're back on the 2-year cycle again.
Right.
We had Undiscovered Country.
Right.
The reason Undiscovered Country was good was because of David Warner, who played the Klingon ambassador.
Right.
And now David Warner is also known, if you're a Next Generation fan, of the Cardassian that what's the word I'm looking for? That interrogated Picard and tried to convince him that there were 4 lights. There are 4 lights, and there were really 5 lights. Anyway, You probably don't know that episode. And that
No,
was David Warner also that was
no,
in
I
that.
don't remember. I think I had dropped out by then.
And we lost David Warner a couple of years ago. Excellent actor.
Oh, he's brilliant. He was a brilliant actor.
Now, the next one, I don't know how I feel about this movie. I kind of go back and forth. It's Star Trek Generations.
Yeah.
And I, I don't know whether, I have never heard whether Stewart and Shatner got along in this or not. I kind of got the feeling there was some animosity in this film between those two actors because they didn't seem to work well together, and that I think was the weakness.
Can you imagine anybody working well with Shatner?
I don't know. It's, I've heard all of his autobiographies and everything that he did. I don't know how to feel about Shatner, whether he's okay or if he's, kind of wrongly. I know Nichelle Nichols hated his guts, and so did James Doohan. Until James Doohan died, he wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah.
Well, you know what he used to do, and Nichelle Nichols talked about this, is he used to hog the spotlight.
Yeah, of course.
Whenever there would be a scene, he would position himself so he was like blocking the other character.
Yeah.
And he would negotiate with them to cut other people's lines and give them to him. Yep. So he wasn't really friendly towards his fellow cast members. But he recognized that later on. I heard him admit to that in an interview that somebody did with him. I heard him admit that he did that. So maybe he's learned his lesson.
Well, I also should point out, and here I'm calling him names, but he was put down for not going to DeForest Kelly's funeral. However, he doesn't go to funerals. He's got a thing about them.
He didn't go to Nimoy's either.
Yeah. He did, in fact, go to the hospital where Dee was being cared for, the Motion Picture Arts and Sciences home for wayward youth and children and actors and dogs, and visited with Dee there. So he and there were no cameras there for that. So let's give him that credit. He actually showed up and visited with him.
Well, I listened to an audiobook by the lady who was DeForest Kelly's nurse.
Yes.
And she was pretty interesting, talking about, people that would come and visit them and yep. stuff. And she mentioned Shatner coming to visit him.
Yep. And so, and he was doing it when there weren't cameras there. So, let's give him a credit for that. And I usually defend him to people, but I just heard another story about how he treated a fan that I think he thinks of fans as being Trek fans as being part of the family, so he can treat them like shit.
Well, he's got that Saturday Night Live thing that he did, but that was a joke where he told everybody to get a life. That was a joke. Now, one thing he did do, the James Cawley's set that is like in North Carolina or someplace, they did a Star Trek convention there. Yeah. And you could come in and tour the set. And Shatner had a thing set up to where you could go and spend 15 minutes talking to William Shatner, and you could get 2 items that you had to buy from him, and he would sign them for you. and he charged $750 to spend 15 minutes with him. So
It's a lot of money.
That I know is true because I remember reading about it before it happened.
Right.
And that seemed to be just a little much. All right, let's go on to the rest of the movies. We're rapidly running out of time here.
Yep.
Okay, so the next three were all Next Generation movies.
Right.
So the stars were the cast of Next Generation: Jonathan Frakes, Patrick Stewart,
Brent Spiner,
so on and so forth. Marina Sirtis. First Contact.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one where the Borg had taken over the world, and they went back and tried to stop that. And they met the Vulcans.
Borg Queen and all that. Yeah.
Now, there's something interesting in the Mirror Universe episode of Enterprise. They reprise that scene where the Vulcans meet the humans. Mm-hmm. And what's the actor that was in Babe?
Oh, James.
And he's in that episode. Yeah. And they brought him back just for that episode of Enterprise so he could redo the role. And where the Vulcans come down and meet the humans, they take a gun out and shoot the Vulcans and steal their ship. So, it was, I'll tell you, that's one of the best episodes of Star Trek. If you ever get a chance, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the Mirror Universe. It's a 2-episode show on Enterprise, and it's excellent. And like I say, it's got that. And so anyway, so that's the story behind First Contact. It was okay. It was good. It was certainly better than the next one. The next one I really didn't care for very much. Insurrection.
Oh, yeah.
The makeup was kind of ghastly. It shows the I don't like the ones where the Federation turns out to be bad guys. You know,
yeah.
The whole idea of the Federation's it's supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Nemesis.
That's for like 7 to do.
And then came Nemesis, which was in 2002. That was pretty weak. That's the one where the young guy who is a clone of Jean-Luc Picard, and that one was pretty weak. Now the Chris. All right, then we go on to 11, 12, and 13. 13 movies, Star Trek movies, and all 3 of those are the Chris Pine films,
right?
Where he plays Kirk, and the first 2 were J.J. Abrams. I forget who the director of the last. Justin Lin was the director of the last one, and those were all pretty good. I liked Zachary Quinto as Spock. I thought he did a good job playing Spock, and he actually did one of the movies with Leonard Nimoy in it, which was good. I forget which one of the 3 had Nimoy in it. I think it was the first one, but anyway, had Nimoy in it.
And I adore Carl Urban as McCoy. I thought he was just terrific. And
you ever watch that sci-fi cop movie he did for one season?
Yeah, The Boys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh no, that was another.
The Boys. It was one where he had a robot partner.
Yes, I remember
black guy. It was a robot partner.
Yeah,
and that was a pretty good show, but it only lasted one season. That was it. So motion picture, the director was Robert Wise. Wrath of Khan was Nick Meyer. And Nick Meyer was hired because he knew how to film on the cheap. and and Khan was filmed for about a quarter of what they filmed the motion picture for.
Oh, yeah.
I have Robert Wise's autograph, by the way. See, my friend, let me show you. Hang on.
I should point out that Jeannie points out that actually some of the new actors, superheroes, etc., charge as much or under 5 minutes with an autograph, I guess.
We're not sure what you mean there, Miss Collins. But just let me give you a little.
Go ahead.
This lady right here in the Borg costume is a friend of mine. Her name is Pam Blackwell. She was in her big movie. She was in Independence Day, and she played the nurse that took the president's daughter out of the room when her mom was fixing to die in Independence Day. So that was her claim to fame. And I was about to tell you something about her, and now it has slipped my mind. But anyway, that's a friend of mine, Pam Blackwell. And let's see here. I have completely lost track of what I was fixing to say.
Okay,
So anyway.
well, let's see.
All right, so we talked about the 3 movies. What was I discussing when I
Pam Blackwell? We were discussing before that. We were talking about how much actors charge for autographs and that sort of thing, and Shatner and Blackwell. I believe you were going to talk about Spiner being in the scene and walking up, or
anyway, she was in that scene for quite a while. It's in the series episode Descent.
Yeah.
And Dana and Laura are on opposite sides of the stage. Of course, there's only one actor, so they had to film this with the split screen, one on opposite sides. And isn't that terrible? This is what happens when you get old, folks. Is you'll be in the middle of a sentence and you'll get distracted by something, and then it's like, what the hell was I going to say?
I've done that since I was 22.
Well, now at 67, this is starting to happen to me. But I do remember all my Star Trek, at least.
Exactly.
Oh, I know what I was going to tell you. It just came back to me. Robert Wise, I have his autograph.
Yes.
Pam Blackwell, who I just showed you the picture of, was in the movie Generations. She had a tiny, itty bitty little bit part when they are interviewing Whoopi Goldberg, Guinan, and she comes on board the ship after the Enterprise has rescued her people from the Borg. And she passes in front of the camera dressed in this costume. So that's her. She had a lot more. She actually spoke to Guinan, but they cut all that out of it. So she put together a baseball pool for the cast of Generations. And she put it on a big piece of poster board and had everybody sign the squares. Well, then she sold me the poster board with all these signatures on it. Now, most of the people on there were grips and camera people you never heard of before. I looked them up, and a lot of them are on the people that worked on the movie, but they're nobody ever heard of. But I did get Robert Wise's signature, who directed motion picture and apparently was involved somehow in Generations, in the film Generations, because he was there and signed it. And William Shatner signed one for himself and one for his wife, the lady who drowned in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
So I have him signing her name on a little square.
Yeah.
So that's just
cool.
a piece of trivial information you probably don't care about, but that's okay.
Good. Why not? It's interesting. It's Trek related, and and you remembered it. That's the important thing.
That's true. As soon as I looked down and saw Robert Wise's name written on my list of directors.
Yep.
Yes. Now let's see. Go by dollars, just dollars. The one movie that made the most was Star Trek Into Darkness. That made almost $500 million. It made $467 million.
Is that the one with Cumberbatch?
I think so. No, Beyond, I think. Star Trek Beyond is the one with Cumberbatch. Oh. No, that's the one with the girl that's got all the stuff painted all over her face. Yeah, I think it is Into Darkness. I think that is Cumberbatch.
Yeah, there's
somebody will yell at me for not knowing it, but
no, they'll yell at me. I have to say that one of the Trek movies is one of the Chris Pine Trek movies is alarmingly similar to the plot line of Della Van Heiss's Del Rey novel. And let's just say it's close enough to win the cigar. That's always annoying to me whenever I see something that's pretty close to clear theft. And that's the way they did things back in the Del Rey days. They'd get these young, desperate writers with great talent who would go on to do better things and grab them early and get them to sign over their lives. And
yes, it was Into Darkness.
Okay.
I looked it up.
Yeah, that was odd casting. I just thought...
I didn't understand that at all. First of all, I think of Khan as a Latin actor because that's who played him both times. Right. And I'm sorry, I like Benedict Cumberbatch as
Sherlock, sure.
As Sherlock Holmes. He's an excellent Sherlock Holmes, but he's not Khan.
No, I agree.
And there were plenty of good Latin actors who could have played. But you're comparing him to Ricardo Montalban.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but Benedict Cumberbatch does not compare to him.
Well, they're both fine actors, but
different actors.
They're different. And I think Danny Trejo or somebody like that would have been a
he would have been a good Khan.
Exactly.
The age might have been a problem. But
yeah, it would have been a problem. But we're also talking a few years ago. So
that's true.
He'd be younger. So
because that movie, the Into Darkness, was 2016. So you're talking 7 years ago. So
so he'd have 7 years off of him then. But there are the hundreds of thousands of fine minority actors who could have filled that role, and why we had to have Cumberbatch just because he's in everything. I'm not sure, but
you get like you say, I like him as Sherlock Holmes. There's been only 3 people I've liked in the role of Sherlock Holmes. And George C. Scott's one of them.
Right.
Yeah, what was that? They Might Be Giants?
They Might Be Giants. One of my favorite movies.
And he wasn't really Sherlock Holmes. He was really a crazy guy who thought he was Sherlock Holmes.
Justin Playfair. Yeah.
But he played it very well. I mean, he played the Sherlock Holmes character very well.
Yep.
And of course, Basil Rathbone.
Yeah.
I mean, there really is no Sherlock Holmes except for Basil Rathbone.
Yeah.
Now, younger people are probably going, who?
Jeremy Brett also should be mentioned. Jeremy Brett was just a fine Sherlock Holmes. He played him kind of drugged and out of it, but that
one curly-haired guy that played Doctor Who, he might have been a good Sherlock Holmes.
He played him once. I think all British actors, except for Martin Freeman, have played Sherlock Holmes at least once. Now, but Martin got to play Dr. Watson. So.
Now, did you ever see a comedy of terrors?
Who were the leads?
Just about everybody in horror at the time. It had Basil Rathbone, Boris Karloff.
Yes, I have seen it.
Vincent Price, Peter Lorre. They were all in it. And I mean, it was just maybe a few months before we lost Boris. It wasn't long before we lost Boris Karloff. The very last movie Boris Karloff made, he was living inside of a drive-in movie screen in this movie.
Well, that's a nice gambit for somebody who has limited mobility when they're ill. But yeah, I remember because I'm a big Peter Lorre fan, so that I remember it from that.
We have 2 minutes.
Yes, I was noticing that. Okay, well, next week we may have a really terrific guest, or it may not be us.
We can't tell you yet.
Yeah, we can't.
But maybe.
We don't have it nailed down, but it's nice to say you'll be impressed. I know where I am. So have a great week. Don't take any wooden nickels. And nobody but old folk like us will know what that means. But we will see you very soon in 1 week's time. Have a good one. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.